All right, let's dig into our 2A history project a little bit here with this stack of cards that we made for Second Amendment Library. So I'm a big fan of books, and as much as I like books, I'm not able to have a giant library of them, but I'm curious about them, and I'm not smart enough to remember all these things with some kind of photographic memory. So I started to do some research, and that led to a website, like always, and then that led to trying to get that information up off the web into people's hands, into our hands, so that we can use them in different ways. And I'm going to use these cards in a different way today in this video, and I'm looking for feedback if it's worth doing more videos like this in the future. And then the bigger picture, is it worth doing more projects like this one in order to do more videos like this one? So let's dig in. We've looked at this deck before when I first had it made, which I guess was back in 2019. Then you got Pincus's next book, Combat Focused Shooting, and I have to sit down and talk to Pincus about the evolution of his books. I have him in here, but I know that I could talk to him probably whenever to talk about those books, so we'll do that as a future project. We got Bill Rogers putting his book into the mix in 2010, Be Fast, Be Accurate, Be the Best. Some of these people have experience both in occupations, but also in just general interest in competitive shooting or in hunting or in other things where they became good and are offering their insight. You've got Kathy Jackson in The Cornered Cat, one of the first, not the first, but one of the first attempts at bringing firearms self-defense to a female focus. Got Alan's book, After You Shoot, The Gun's Hot, The Perp's Not, Now What? Again, kind of late to the game, but bringing people who are familiar, who are now experiencing and being concealed carry, giving them more insight. It's hard to say. I don't think this has anything to do with any specific training, so it's not like an accompaniment to a training curriculum or anything, but similar type of stuff. I haven't read it. Stay in the Fight, Kyle Lamb's next book. I don't know so much about that one, but follow up to Black Eyes or Green Eyes. Now you got Glock, America's Gun by Barrett. One of my favorite guns. If you don't like Glocks, it doesn't matter, because this is about Glocks, but only because Glocks are a catalyst for so many other issues. Super awesome book. One of the best books I've read about guns. Can't recommend it enough. You can get it in just about every version too. You can listen to it. You can get it on Kindle. You can get an actual book. Then you got Recoil. That magazine started in 2012. It's gone up and down with its time in the game. You got Shoot, one of the Julie Galoob books. She's write a couple. Got Dan Baum as a guy who drove around creating this book. It's like a coffee table book. I can remember him driving around and doing that stuff. I think it was sort of a reaction to Obama and his 23 executive actions, and this was written at the end of that year, after that guy, I think, wanted to capitalize on all the attention given to firearms after that attempt to prohibit guns. You got Gunfight by Adam Winkler. I don't know much about this one. It says the story of libertarian lawyers who brought a Second Amendment case to the Supreme Court, the 6-year courtroom journey of D.C. versus Heller. So interesting. So a perspective on D.C. and Heller. Then you got Guns on the Border, our friend Mike Detty here in Tucson, who started Operation Wide Receiver, which then became the Fast and the Furious, the gun smuggling of the Obama administration and the Bush administration to get guns down to Mexico so that they could later say U.S. firearms are the problem with violence in Mexico. Then you get Ken Blanchard rewriting his book, or writing a second book called Black Man with a Gun Reloaded. This one you can still get. Highly recommend it. Dancing in Blood by Gottlieb and Workman. So creator of Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms and the Second Amendment Foundation and the Gun Rights Policy Conference, Alan Gottlieb. He's written many books. This is one he wrote in 2014. Then we got My Parents Open Carry, another firearm book focused on kids and firearms, but in this case, concealed carry and how to deal with, or not concealed carry, but carry, and how kids can deal with parents who carry. So that one's from 2014. You got Negroes and the Gun by Johnson. I don't know this one, but we have a couple of other written from the black perspective, so that's another one from 2014. If you know more about that one, let me know. We got This Nonviolent Stuff Will Get You Killed by Cobb and it says how guns made the civil rights movement possible. So interesting. This looks like another perspective, and I don't remember putting this one in here, so I'll have to look more into that one. If you know about it, let us know. Can't imagine too many people are 40 minutes into this video and still taking notes. We got Scientific Self-Defense, another reprint of Fairbairn's. So original stuff from back in the day, right? Fairbairn, like literally 1931. Now you got a reprint in 2015. There's only so many ways to knock somebody over, and when you figured out efficient ways to do that, might as well keep talking about them. Shall not be infringed by Keene. It says history of the Second Amendment, the repeated wave assaults against it. So that's part of the reason I create projects like this, is to help keep track of all the different ways they've gone against us. When someone's going after you and going after you and going after you, it's not so much the issue they have, it's just they don't like you, right? So this isn't people that thought their issue was so important. This is somebody who, these are people that are willing to drop an issue and move on to the next one, and drop an issue and move on to the next one, as the overall goal is the issue, not the individual things that they petition on. And when you have nothing to back it up on, just your ambition to remove the status quo, I mean, that doesn't give you justification. Just because you hate it so much, you've been doing it for a while, doesn't make you right. And books like this hopefully will give us the overall perspective, the bird's eye view, to be willing to persevere through these waves of assaults instead of getting frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated and decide it's not worth it all. Let's see, The War on Guns, another one by Lott. And another interesting one, if I remember right, you don't really need to read this one straight through. You can kind of just dig in and take pieces out of that one. You got Clint Smith putting on Urban Rifle. After 45 years, he writes a book in 2016, after many years of having a successful shooting school. Then you got Yuta writing a couple of books in 2017 focused on kids, safety, and then the ABCs. He's also written one on the Second Amendment since. And then you get another one from Julie Galoob, another one focused on kids. You can see there's some different trends in here with when books are made and who they're focused on, and the various themes we've got are marksmanship, kids, and education, awareness and growth of communities, or insight to the community's interest, other communities' interest or varied communities' interest in firearms. You've got, again, training, more than just marksmanship, but training, manipulation, that kind of thing. And then you get a whole bunch of Second Amendment stuff. You get collecting. You get information on skill sets like reloading or competition shooting. I don't even have the competition shooting stuff in here. So that's a whole bunch of cards. It represents a whole bunch of books on a library. It'd be great to talk more about this with people who are in the know or seriously focused on this stuff. If you'd like to be a part of that conversation, let me know. That's like all I do is talk about guns. So just let's figure out a time to do it. We can dig in and talk about these. And at some point to add more to this list. That's a long video. Let us know in the comments what you think. Maybe I'll chop it into 4 pieces. So if that was the case, you just watch the end of a series. Otherwise, you just watch the end of an epically long video. And let us know in the comments what you think.
The guys and gals at gun websites encourage you to take a CCW course every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.